Man, what a packed month. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to be doing my October wrap-up, and man, this was a busy month. I didn't quite get to everything that I wanted to this month, which is not at all surprising. I'm kind of surprised that I actually got as close as I did, because I am recording this. It's November now, but the fact that I only have, well, two things left, but it's still pretty good, pretty good. I knew I was gonna have some spillover for sure, so honestly not bad. But let's talk about everything I did here and go from there. So starting with The Darkness That Comes Before by R. Scott Baker, the first book in the Prince of Nothing trilogy and or Aspect Emperor, the bigger series for the total second apocalypse is the whole name. And I have been meaning to get this for so long. I did do a video talking about it. I might do more, or I might wait until I finish the trilogy and then talk more in depth about it as a whole. I haven't decided, but I was very, very impressed. This is definitely a series that I'm going to be focusing on for the rest of this year and early next. I would like to say I'm going to finish at least Prince of Nothing before the end of the year. I don't know if that's going to happen, but this is one that was a spillover from last month, from September, and took me a chunk here because it's kind of book you really do want to take your time with, but resulted in me being a little bit slower. But yeah. Just a lot of good stuff there. Do have a review for that. You can check out if you want to hear more, and I'll definitely continue to be talking about it because I was definitely impressed with a lot of it that I was seeing so far. Then another thing that was spillover from September. See, I started off, if I would have not had spillover, I might have been okay, but was The One Tree by Stephen R. Donaldson. This is book 2 in the second Thomas Covenant Chronicles. And I will be, once I finish up my November reads, one of the very first things I'll be doing is book 3 of this, White Gold Wielder, because I'm really enjoying that as well. It's another one I'd put off for a really long time for, I don't know why, having a great time. So I'm greatly looking forward to continuing that as well. It's just all of the stuff that I felt like I needed a little bit more out of the first book was here, and I cannot wait to see what's going to be done with book 3. Very, very excited for that as well. And then October specifically was a month that I had 4 people pick a book for me, something that was out of my comfort zone. That was kind of my theme for October, and had varying results, but had a good time overall with everything. So the first was I Am Not a Serial Killer by Dan Wells. This was picked by Jake the Bookish Drummer, and I liked this one a lot more than I thought I would, to be perfectly honest. I wasn't feeling it at first. It felt like some of the stuff was a little bit more pedestrian. This is kind of more of a younger reading YA type of book, but it actually added a lot of depth to the characters and to what we were exploring later, and it also went some unexpected directions, I feel like, for me as well. So this is one that I'm not necessarily going to continue, but I'm not necessarily not going to. It's one that I might just kind of throw in if I'm feeling like trying something different, because I'm certainly not opposed to continuing here, and I ended up giving this 4 stars since it's higher than I thought I would. So it seemed really solid. I think if this is one that you've been on the fence on trying, give it a shot. I thought it was actually pretty good. Also have a review of that if you want more there as well. Then next up we had Chess Story by Stefan Zweig, which was Murphy's pick, and I had no idea what to think about this one at all, because it's so different from my kind of normal thing, but I did find myself very, very pulled in and enjoying this one. This was a very quick read, and one of those books that's really heavy on theme and that sort of thing, where there's a lot more going on than just what's happening, but just the story itself, the theme, and then the parallels with the author's life. This is something special, and I am very curious to try more of this author as well. Again, I'm not going to be rushing out to try more Stefan Zweig, but it's definitely an author that it's on my radar now, and I'm going to try some more of when I'm in the mood for more of this kind of literary fiction kind of style of thing there as well. Continuing there, well, so I ended up then, I think, finishing next Empire of Grass, which is book 2 in The Last King of Austin Ard by Tad Williams. This is, if you may have seen from the thumbnail, a series that I was spending quite a lot of time on this month, because I had New York for the last book, which we'll talk about, I guess, next month there. But Empire of Grass, I didn't like as much as The Witchwood Crown. It was still a very, very good book, but I had some issues. But I won't dwell on that too much, because as I'll talk about when we get to the next 2 books in that series, they were made up for. So still really, really having a good time with that one overall. And yeah, well, I won't talk too much because, like I said, I got plenty more books in that series to talk about. But then we had Electric Forest Oh, actually, no, we didn't have Electric Forest yet. We had The Passengers by John Mars. I could have just talked, but yeah. This one is a thriller, kind of like a techno thriller, near future thing, and I had mixed results on this one. This was probably my least favorite of the picks. This was picked by Stacy, the Chapter Conundrum, but at the same time, I did find it an engaging read. It was entertaining. And although I was kind of grumpy with some parts of it, I think this was really honestly what I probably needed, and was a really good time to do it in between all of the really big, chunky epic fantasy that I was reading this month. So it worked out well. This is one too, after I kind of thought about it, I'm like, no, I think I was being grumpy because some of the things at the end annoyed me a little bit, but it just was, high stakes, a lot of action, a lot of things going on, lots of twists and type of things, big reveals. And so I think a lot of fun things in a thriller. And it's just an interesting look at, like I mentioned in my review of this one too, the like how AI and self-driving cars and that type of thing, how those are looked at a little bit differently today than they were when this was written. So yeah, it was interesting. And then we had Electric Forest by Tanith Lee. This was picked by Joanna, and this was definitely my favorite out of the different picks. Which was, I was really not sure how to feel about this one. Joanna had even told me that it definitely fit out of my comfort zone, but she really didn't know if I would like it or not, but was really curious. And I fell in love with this. The way this one is written, it's beautifully written. It's very thematically complex as well. There's a lot going on here, and it's the type of book, I talked about it in my review. I can't really tell you anything about it because you are best off going in blind, but it has that kind of classic sci-fi feel with lots of different twists and just absolute beautiful writing as well, which sucked me in very quickly. This is an author I will most certainly be checking out more of as well, because Tanith Lee sounds like has a ton of sci-fi, fantasy, all kinds of stuff. Very, very curious to try more of this author. 100%. Then we had the only book that really just didn't work out for me this month, which was Necroscope by Brian Lumley. James, I don't know why you recommended this to me, because this was recommended many times over time by a long-term viewer, and this was very much a DNF. I really tried. I got maybe like a third of the way in here, even though there was very quickly some stuff I was not a huge fan of, but this just over-the-top sexual content that, from what I've heard, gets even worse as the series continues, and that's just not for me. Now, I will say, this was very well written, and the things that I liked were very good. It was setting up some really interesting things with vampires that are going to be happening. It sounds like things get pretty crazy. It has this, a lot of it has this Cold War setting, and then it's contrasting with, we have a young boy who's at school, and like the two plot lines, I think, actually contrasted, but were built really, really well. So like, there's so many things about this that are good. It's really well written. This is very much a subjective, not my taste thing, just with all of the sexual content at all. Not for me. If you don't mind that kind of thing, you like vampires or like horror, that kind of thing, check this out, because like I said, it's really, really well written. I tried to give it a shot. It's just really not for me. So yeah, that one did not work out. The next that we had, Brothers of the Wind, which is a novella that's for Last King of Art. I was told to read this between Empire of Grass and Into the Narrow which made a lot of sense. This did address some issues that I had with Empire of Grass, where gave me a little bit more context for something that was happening. I'm like, oh, that makes a little bit more sense. But also, it queued up a lot of what we'll just skip ahead to. A lot of what happened in Into the Narrow Dark. Now, Into the Narrow Dark is for October. I had still a bit of this left, and so it didn't quite make it finish. So I was going to talk about this one a little bit later. But this one has really been doing a lot of really, really big things, and some stuff that was queued up there. So I definitely think reading that, I'm having a really good time with this. There's a specific character, and there's that I'm still not a huge fan of. But this also addressed. There was also there was a specific plot line that I was struggling with, feeling like I don't know that this fully makes sense to me, why it happened the way that it happened. And this showed, oh, this is exactly why it happened, and it made it make perfect sense. So I'm not quite done there yet as of October, but I'm really excited to get to that, and then get to The Navigator's Children, which I have an e-arc for, which comes out November 12th, and so I'm going to have very little time to read it, but I'm going to give it my best shot to get to, because I am very, very excited to get to that one as well. Then we had the buddy read of Sailing to Sarantium. This is the first book in the Sarantine Mosaic, and I was a bit disappointed by this one. I did do a review here as well, and There's a lot of good in this book. It's very much a good, not great book for me, and I think part of it is just I had so high expectations for Guy Got Real K, because the first book of his I read is one of my favorites of all time now, Lions Are Our Song. Song for a Bone I thought was on a similar level, although I prefer Lions, and so just going those two first and then going with this one, there's a lot of strong things here, but also I just felt like the characters were a lot weaker here, and that was definitely part of it, and I wasn't as engaged in the story, the world, what was going on, the characters, anything, so felt a little flat for me, but I'm still interested to continue. We're still going to be doing the second book, I think, next month. And I'm interested to have a conversation here with the group that is buddy reading this as well, because it is something too that with contrasting opinions, I think are fun to talk about and go from there as well. So we'll be doing that. And then we already talked about Into the Narrow Dark. So we have the other thing that I'm working on finishing, The Lotus Empire by Tasha Suri, which I'm really enjoying this. This has been so far really strong. There's a couple of things that felt just a little bit rushed. And I still, at this point, I feel like this probably still could have been a duology instead of a trilogy. But it's so far so really, really good. I'm really enjoying this. This might end up being my favorite out of the trilogy. I feel like there's a good chance of that, just because some of the stuff that's happening is really good. So I'm excited to finish this one too. This and Into the Narrow Dark, I should finish hopefully extremely soon into November. Spoiler alert, I have, but we'll talk about that in November wrap up later, because I'm filming this a little bit late. But yeah, so we'll talk more about those later as well. But that's it for this one. I still do need to get to the Navigator's Children in the Book of Swords, which will be my first November things, and then we'll see from there. But yeah, overall a very successful month. A lot of great stuff, a lot of different stuff, and I'm excited to continue on these and see where everything goes from there. That's really it though for this one and this wrap up. Let me know your thoughts on any of these in the comments, as well as what you read this last month. If you had anything specifically that you want to know and mention there. Always love hearing and seeing what you guys are reading there as well, so definitely let me know. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the links in the description as always for the Patreon if you want to support what I do, as well as the Wizard of the Enclave Discord if you want to chat books, whether any of these books, other books, really anything at all. It's a lot of fun and we'd love to have you. And of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.